Bitcoin is an asset of fear, but not because it's a risk asset. Rather, it's a safe haven for investors fearing the inevitable collapse of a financial system, inflation, debt, wars, instability. Most everyday investors still think Bitcoin as a quick trade to make fast money, but big institutions and even governments are treating it more like digital gold, something to hold for the long term. If you still don't have any Bitcoin or just trade Bitcoin using high leverage for fast money, this video might change the way you look at it. Since 2024, Bitcoin received some of the most bullish news in its history. Massive ETFs used as a strategic reserves asset for major companies and countries, a record institutional inflow, and a strategic hedge against geopolitical and economic volatility. And yes, Bitcoin did break all-time highs after all-time highs, but when it dropped 30% from the peak, investors are already in shambles, panicked of the next crypto winter. That's not how we're supposed to look at Bitcoin in 2026. Every dip should be an opportunity to DCA. If governments and institutions are constantly buying and storing Bitcoin, why would not you? In fact, around 3.1% of Bitcoin's total 21 million supply is already confiscated or held by governments. Most of it came from seizures, but many are choosing not to sell it anymore, and that changes everything. Okay, let's slow down for a second. What do we actually mean by a reserve asset? Well, a reserve asset is something that's highly liquid, which is easy to sell, widely accepted and trusted, durable, secure, scarce, or hard to inflate, and as a store of value. Examples are things like gold, foreign currencies held by central banks like USD, for example, or government bonds. These assets exist for stability, not excitement. So the question becomes, why would anyone even consider Bitcoin for that role? I think there are three simple reasons. First, Bitcoin has a fixed supply. Only 21 million coins ever will exist. No central bank can print more. Second, Bitcoin is not controlled by any government or any single entity in that matter. No country owns it, no single institution can change its rules. And third, Bitcoin is global and digital. It works the same way in every country and can be moved without relying on traditional financial systems. You don't need to understand the technology deeply to understand the idea: scarcity, neutrality, global access. That combination is rare. Now, let's look at real data from government Bitcoin treasuries. As of early January 2026, governments worldwide hold approximately 647,000 Bitcoin tokens. This represents about 3% of Bitcoin's current circulating supply of roughly 19.97 million Bitcoin tokens mined out of the fixed 21 million total cap. Here are some of the largest public holders. The US holds around 328,372 Bitcoin tokens, approximately $30 billion, mostly seized from criminal cases, and now treats it as a long-term strategic reserve, quote unquote, rather than selling it. China controls roughly 190,000 Bitcoins, approximately $17.4 billion, taken from major scams, kept despite a domestic crypto ban, and used as a liquidity buffer when needed. The United Kingdom holds about 245,000 bitcoins, approximately $5.6 billion, primarily from Caesars as well. Ukraine now holds 46.351 thousand bitcoins, approximately 4.2 billion, including holdings of public officials. El Salvador holds around 7,523 bitcoins, approximately $700 million, very new to the game, actively buying on the market and using Bitcoin as part of its economic strategy. These are mostly from law enforcement, but the key point is governments are holding instead of dumping it on the market. Why does this matter? Well, governments don't just buy or hold volatile things for short term profits. They usually hold assets for stability and future planning, like gold, for example. Bitcoin's fixed supply and global accessibility makes it attractive. And that's why governments will keep holding Bitcoin and maybe buy more Bitcoin. The more they own, the less there is in circulation for us. Supply squeeze. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, so what am I supposed to do? Here's how most beginners realistically approach Bitcoin today. One, you can buy and hold on spot, obviously, which is the foundation. This is where a lot of beginners make mistakes. Most people don't need complicated strategies, to be honest. For most beginners, buying and holding Bitcoin on spot markets is the foundation. Many people use DCA, buying small amounts regularly instead of trying to time the market. It's simple, low stress, and aligned with a long term view. If you're just starting out, you can do this through reputable centralized exchanges like Binance or Coinbase. I'll leave the links in the description if you want to check them out. Two, you can try trading Bitcoin, which has higher risk and also higher complexity. Some people trade Bitcoin short term, but that requires experience, discipline, and strong risk management. For beginners, trading should be a small portion, not the core. You know what they say, 99% of traders lose. The third way is earning yields on your Bitcoin, which gives you income but with risk. Another thing that you will hear about a lot is earning yields on Bitcoin. Yield here means lending your Bitcoin to others and getting paid interest, like putting money in a savings account. It can work, obviously, but remember, when you lend it out, you don't fully control it anymore. You're trusting a platform or a company, for example, lending it on Binance. If something goes wrong, like hacks or bankruptcy, you could lose your Bitcoin entirely. Look at Mt. Gox and FTX. So, yield isn't free money, you are trading safety for extra return. And to be honest, that return sometimes isn't worth the risk. Average yields for lending Bitcoin is like 2 to 7%. And that's why, for most beginners, yield should be treated as optimal, something you explore later, not the first thing that you do. And the fourth way is cloud mining, which is optional and very complicated. Bitcoin mining is how new Bitcoin is created, but it's very expensive and super technical. There is something called cloud mining, though, which still requires technical background, but it's a lot more affordable. If you want a deeper breakdown of this strategy, we've already made a full video on that. I'll link it above. So, what do I think about Bitcoin's price for 2026? As of today, Bitcoin is trading around $90,000 with strong volume. Many well known analysts predict a bullish year, expecting Bitcoin could reach $150,000 to $250,000 by the end of 2026. For example, the CEO of Swan Bitcoin recently said he expects Bitcoin to hit a new all time high in 2026.
Adoption in Bitcoin is kind of a one-way motion. People don't tend to get into Bitcoin and then get out of it. They generally stick. It's just a matter of how much they buy. And so I think we have more than a 50% chance, is how I handicap it, of a new all-time high in 2026. So I actually do expect that we'll see above 125K next year.
So, what's driving this optimism? Well, there are three major tailwinds heading into 2026. First, continued massive inflows into spot Bitcoin ETFs, which could push total ETF assets under management towards $200 billion or more. Second, clearer and more pro crypto regulation, especially under the Trump administration, including faster SEC approvals and long awaited market structure bills. And third, accelerating institutional adoption, not just from banks and corporations, but potentially even nation states treating Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset. To put simply, Bitcoin is no longer just a simple trade, it's becoming part of the global financial system and something that everybody should own, just like gold. Bitcoin is not your frowned upon digital fake money anymore, and you should never treat it as such. Instead of messing around with futures, using 100x leverage like a degenerate, and losing money over and over again, try buy and hold it this time. If this video helped you understand Bitcoin a little better in 2026, especially if you're just getting started, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button and subscribe for more contents like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Daily out.